that? Looks like a neurothrope placed on Overwatch inside that building.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
I don't know how much you guys have been following the Space Marine 2 modding scene over the last several months, but the community has been very busy, and while this video is only going to scratch the surface of what modders can and already have done, what they'll no doubt do in the future, it should leave you with a warm, fuzzy feeling if you care at all about this series and its future, because the days ahead look very bright if you are a Space Marine 2 enjoyer. There is some really cool shit on the way from a lot of really talented creators, from Lightning Claws to Inner Circle Companions, cataclysmic difficulty modifiers, and battle barge paint jobs for every Loyalist chapter imaginable. If you like Sisters of Battle, how about a Paragon warsuit for your trouble? Today we'll be focusing on Astartes Overhaul, certainly one of the most popular and comprehensive overhauls on Nexus mods, and as the gameplay on screen might attest, there have been some incredible breakthroughs and additions in recent weeks. Their 7.2 update going live just this past Friday. Now, if you don't know, Astartes Overhaul is an operations rebalance mod designed to enhance the PvE experience with new weapons, classes, abilities, and reworked perks. The general idea being to lean into that power fantasy a bit more and to make things more quote-unquote lore accurate. Now, lore accuracy means many different things to many different people. I am not here to argue about the veracity of that claim, nor do I care. Simple crux of the matter is that it unquestionably makes your Space Marines more powerful than the base game, and therefore the base experience is easier. But it's designed with compatibility in mind, particularly when it comes to supplementary difficulty modifiers or extra horde mods, which is to say, if you're good at the game and find it too easy, there are quite a few ways to make it more challenging again if you so wish. The mod is run by Killer Whaley of Warhammer Workshop fame, who's gathered a very talented team to his side, and to give you a general idea of the industry experience we're working with here, he was a developer on Sea of Thieves, Sniper Elite 5, and is currently one of the lead devs on Witcher 4. In previous videos on Astartes, you've seen me running around with a heavily improved jetpack as a Flesh Terror Assault Marine, as a Salamander, the Pyre Blaster Flamethrower, and as a Celestial Lion's Bulwark fighting alongside a Dreadnought against a Hive Tyrant on a map where Hive Tyrants don't spawn. That's really just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the experience, and with 7.2, we now have access to our first trial run of Terminators, lumbering brutes in tactical dreadnought armor, carving their way through heretic and Xenos hordes alike. We have access to Chaos operations, full customization, mix and matching with founding heretic legions, a massive suite of kit bashing opportunities to fully differentiate each and every Space Marine you create, and 2 new classes, the Apothecary and the Chaplain. At the moment, Terminators are not fully implemented. They can only be accessed in this particular build via the campaign, and their Assault Vengeance Cannon with custom spinning barrels hasn't been added quite yet either. By the way, that is coming. That was kind of the implication there. They are fully functional though, in terms of their gameplay, towering over even other Primaris, and with an Assault Bolter and Power Fist, that Space Hulk Deathwing dream is alive and well in what I would argue is a much better game. I've had precious few moments as satisfying as lumbering down a hallway as a Terminator, mowing through hordes of nits. This shit is dope. I don't know what the mod team has planned for them in the future, outside of that aforementioned assault cannon, but I'd imagine a Storm Shield and Thunderhammer combo or Lightning Claws are very achievable, and Soul Reaper cannons and Cyclone missile racks are already in the game on the Thousand Suns side, so maybe that'd be possible to port over to the Loyalist side as well.
End of the hole.
But wait, there's more. You have access to a huge amount of customization options and improvements compared to the base game, with hundreds more armor variants, colors, cloaks, and various accoutrements, which means not only can you bring the Heretic Astartes over from Eternal War for Chaos Ops, but you can mix and match all those assets to your heart's content. So Black Legion Astartes with the Kiss of Contagion, and some Nurgle-tinged armor, or a World Eater Berserker Raptor flying high with a Meltdown Chainsword are all very much in the realm of possibility. If you want to get really fancy, the mod now has functionality for up to 12 players in the same operations lobby at once. So if you have a huge friend group that was turned off by the 3-player cap, this is certainly one of those ways around that. And while 12 players, probably way too much for my personal taste, a group of, say, 4 or 5 friends, all arrayed in Night Lord or Alpha Legion gear, playing with an extra Horde modifier to up that difficulty would make for a really awesome time. Let's talk about the new classes, the Apothecary and Chaplain. And for me, Chaplain is the coolest addition in this update. Apothecary is fun and very OP in its current form, has an awesome model and servo arm, passive healing over time for the entire party, ton of ways to generate med stems, full health on revive perks, and some really busted synergies. It's extremely good. But even if Saber were to add this class officially, it wouldn't really excite me that much, because Apothecaries simply have less unique gear and weaponry that really stands out compared to some of the possible alternatives, and their entire reason for being to heal and revive allies kind of runs counter to the gameplay loop and scarce resource management that has already been established in vanilla. It would serve the same role that Bulwark Banner currently already does, which is just not that exciting for a new class that's going to be sold for money. Taking away functionality for the Bulwark that probably never should have been added to it in the first place, if we're being honest. Bulwark should have never been medics, and then giving that to a new class just isn't going to get me that hype. I don't think Apothecaries are personally that cool compared to what we could get. Aggressors, Terminators, Librarians all being on that short list. Chaplain, on the other hand, and by extension a Dark Apostle of the Wordbearer's counterpart for Eternal War, would be an awesome addition officially, and indeed very much fits the bill in Astartes Overhaul as well. The Chaplain is a tanky tempo controller, chanting litanies and prayers in veneration of their chapter's values and the Emperor of Mankind. In Astartes, these warrior priests have access to some fun reskins like the Crozius Arcanum skin for the Thunderhammer, and some legit new weapons as well, like the Storm Bolter and Artifacts Pattern Bolter, which can be equipped with Hellfire bolts to light enemies ablaze. Actually, I don't remember if it's Inferno or Hellfire. I think the end result is the same. Whatever they're shooting is set on fire, and they tend to die very quickly after that. It's an area that Space Marine 2 devs haven't explored too much up to this point, but I think it'd actually add a lot of customization and player choice amongst the bolter variants to allow people to pick and choose what kind of ammo type they want. Kraken Penetrator rounds for dealing with Rubric Marines and Sekhmet Terminators, with better armor-piercing values and penetration, but maybe less carrying capacity and Horde Clear, or say Inferno or Fragstorm rounds for damage over time or blasting apart groups of enemies. It's actually something that Space Hulk Deathwing did really well, was add different ammo types that had special roles to play and visual gameplay differences between them to go alongside. Needless to say, both the artifacts and the Storm Bolters are incredibly fun to use and don't feel like a reskin of existing weapons. They stand on their own. The Storm Bolter can scythe through an onrushing horde in seconds flat, essentially 2 bolter barrels in one, kicking like a mule with huge ammo consumption but devastating amounts of firepower. Extremely good for bursting through large groups or relieving a warrior of its head at point-blank range. And the artifacts with Hellfire Inferno bolts does exactly what the name implies. It sets everything on fire, nids included. When the going gets tough, you can unleash a Battlecry Shockwave that knocks back everything in the vicinity, damaging them and creating space for you to close the gap and gunstrike or execute a target. And it's particularly useful when surrounded by barbed stranglers or multiple warriors all about to stagger lock you into oblivion. Very cinematic sound effect and animation that I believe was taken straight from campaign. But as with a lot of these things, expect functionality to grow as modders become more familiar with these tools. And that's an important aside I want to make here. It's a very common refrain from viewers like, wow, these modders are so much better than the devs. Why can modders do all this stuff and add it so quickly and the real developers can't? Number one, modders typically don't like being used as a cudgel against the devs of the games they're working on, right? Modding wouldn't even be possible if Saber hadn't been so helpful, instructive, and frankly chill about the community messing around with game files. They've given a huge amount of support to the modding scene, which doesn't really directly benefit their bottom line in any tangible way. So just on that front alone, the official Space Marine 2 devs deserve a lot of credit. It should be obvious, but modders are building on top of an awesome, already existing framework. It's way easier to import models, fine-tune, or make tweaks to existing content than it is to make that content straight from scratch, which is what the original devs did. And modders don't have to go through certification red tape, they don't have to talk to their bosses, they don't have to go through bug fixing and testing in the way that devs do. They're free to work on whatever they want, whenever they want, and release it on their own schedules without any oversight whatsoever. So modding is always going to move faster than official channels. That's just the reality. When it comes to the future, Warhammer Workshop says this is really only the first step. There's a lot more customization and options coming down the pipeline. Same with weaponry. They're now able to create entirely new weapon classes, so exciting things are on the horizon with that. They're looking to make their own standalone classes too, rather than having to hijack the campaign ones. So there is still some work that needs to be done there, but it's moving along pretty quick. Keep in mind, there are still some limitations here too. They don't have, and from what I understand, will maybe never have the ability to create all new melee animations from scratch, because that requires proprietary third-party software that Saber can't legally give access to. But those animations can be stitched together in interesting and unique ways to create something new, like taking, let's say, the Thunderhammer combo finisher and chaining that with Knife Attack 3 and Power Sword Heavy Attack 1. You can make a weapon feel very different by adding bells and whistles to a customized attack chain, and that's to say nothing of the combi weapons, power axes, and others that are confirmed to be on the way in the modding scene. As Saber adds more content, modders will have exponentially more to work with. So as I said, the future is bright, and this is really just the tip of the iceberg. In the future, expect new enemy types and even new factions. This has been hinted at pretty heavily as something Warhammer Workshop believes is possible. Some crazy ass reskins like the Sister of Battle Paragon Warsuit, and so on. Big shout out to Killer Whaley and all the modders making Space Marine 2 even more awesome than it already is, and the devs for being so cool and enabling all that work to be done in the first place. Hope y'all enjoyed, and definitely expect to see more from this and other mods moving forward. See you in the next one.